The last lesson in this module ties everything together because knowing the individual equipment categories is only half the equation. The other half is knowing how to evaluate which freight strategy actually produces the best earnings for the specific truck you're working with, and how to advise your carrier on decisions that affect their long-term earning potential. Let's talk about a framework for thinking through this. The fundamental metric you're optimizing for is revenue per week, or more specifically, net revenue per week after fuel and operating costs. Not rate per mile in isolation, not total miles in isolation, total net earnings in a week of operation. To understand that number for a given carrier, you need to know four things. One, their cost per mile, including fuel, maintenance reserve, insurance, truck payment, if any, and your dispatch fee. Two, the number of miles they're willing to run in a week. Three, the average deadhead ratio they're running. What percentage of their total miles are empty? Four, the average rate per mile they're achieving on loaded miles. Here's why this matters. A reefer carrier running $2.60 per mile but deadheading 300 miles between every load might net less per week than a dry van carrier running $2.10 per mile with consistent 50-mile deadhead between tight, well-positioned loads. When you're advising a carrier on equipment decisions or evaluating whether a carrier's current equipment is serving them well, run this math before making any recommendations. Don't just say flatbed pays more per mile without understanding that flatbed also often involves more detention time, more physical work, and specialized loads that are harder to find in certain markets. Here's a practical framework for matching equipment to maximum earnings by situation. If a carrier is based in a high freight market with strong van freight availability in both directions, dry van is often the right call. Consistent availability means low deadhead, and consistent volume beats occasional high-rate loads. If a carrier is willing to specialize, knows their equipment cold, and is based in or willing to position into strong produce or pharmaceutical lanes, reefer opens up a rate premium that compounds significantly over time. If a carrier has flatbed experience, owns proper securement equipment, and is based in or near heavy industrial or construction markets, steel, lumber, building materials, flatbed or step deck gives them access to freight that most carriers can't haul, which means less competition and stronger rate leverage. If a carrier has a box truck without a CDL or is operating a Sprinter van, help them think about whether their volume strategy is right. Are they chasing random spot loads, or are they building relationships with local businesses, e-commerce fulfillment centers, or freight networks like Amazon Relay that offer consistent recurring volume? Equipment changes have real financial implications. Upgrading from a box truck to a tractor trailer is a significant capital investment. Shifting from dry van to reefer requires trailer replacement and possibly insurance changes. Never push a carrier toward equipment changes just because the rate is higher. Make sure the math across the full week, including the added costs and the deadhead reality in their lanes, actually supports the change. Your job as a dispatcher isn't just to find the best load for today. It's to help your carrier build the most profitable freight strategy for their specific equipment, location, and operating preferences over time. Carriers who feel like their dispatcher understands their business, not just their load board, are carriers who stay loyal. That wraps up Module 5. You now understand the full equipment landscape and how to think about freight strategy across all major categories. Module 6 is where we build your business. Let's go. Module 6, Building Your Dispatch Business.